The Megalodon, known as the Meg for short, derives its name from its massive teeth. This ancient aquatic creature is thought to have lived 3.6 million years ago, and although many consider it extinct, there are eyewitness accounts challenging this belief. With a length 3 times that of the largest recorded white shark, it's hard to fathom how one could overlook such a sea monster. Take a moment to absorb this fact as we delve into the top 5 Megalodon sightings that provide evidence of its existence. Without further ado, let's dive right in. Number 5. The Deep Blue Sea. The next sighting that we'll be talking about occurred in one of the world's biggest oceans, the Deep Blue Sea. It is said to be so deep, its deepest depth is almost 36,000 feet, which amounts to 7 whole miles. It's no surprise then that this place was next in line where the sighting of the Megalodon was reported. A group of divers who were going for a deep dive in the deep sea claimed to have seen some tiger sharks feasting on the carcass of a decomposed sperm whale. When something terrifying happened, a massive shark came to join the show and scared all the other sharks away. One of the divers who had an exponential experience when it came to sharks said that the shark may have been deep blue, which was one of the biggest sharks ever recorded in history. But this was just a hunch based on the shark's markings and A's. The truth is none of the divers knew what to call the shark because it was unlike anything they had ever seen before. Tying there seemed to be no name that was fit to given to the shark, except for the name Megalodon. The shark spanned over 20 feet and had teeth that were sharper than blades. Talk about dominating the waters with your prowess. Later on, the photographer and well-known diver, Kimberly Jeffries, revealed that she was present at the CNAS. She confirmed that the shark was bigger than she had ever seen before. Photographers are known to have seen a thing or two, so her claim is quite believable. Like everyone else, she was also dumbfounded at the astounding size of the beast. Of course, then divers had to leave their water to protect themselves. But just as they left the water, the shark disappeared back into whatever hole it came from as well, leaving spectators only their memory as evidence of its exist. We bet they'll never forget. Number 4. David Steed and The Meg. This next Megalodon sighting was reported by the Australian naturalist and author David Steed in his book called Sharks and Rays of the Australian Seas. According to this book, the author came across something very weird, and he still finds to be a mystery to this day. In one chapter of his book, he details an encounter he had with some crayfish fishermen that had gone to the Bruna Island, carry out their daily activities. This was when they were interrupted by a beast in the waters. The fishermen said that they had seen an enormous sea creature lurking about in the water as they were going about their fishing routine. These fishermen were so traumatized that none of them returned to the area for many weeks, putting their businesses on hold. When David Steed interviewed these fishermen separately, they all seemed to have a similar story to tell, which meant that none of them were lying. They all reported more or less the same size of the creature they had seen, saying it was over 115 feet. This is a larger amount than has ever been recorded in the past for any Megalodon. Had it been a ship of tourists, there may have been some doubt to their testimony, but because it was a ship of fishermen that had seen and been around sea creatures for as long as they could remember, it was easy for David Steed to believe that the fishermen knew what they were talking about. After all, it takes a lot more than a mere shark to scare a dozen fishermen out of their skin. Some fishermen reported that whenever the creature passed by, the water surrounding it would start to boil. It was unclear as to what may have caused this phenomenon, but they certainly believed that what they saw was real. Furthermore, the fishermen also stated that most of the great white sharks that they had seen during their lifetimes were white. However, this one was pale in color, signifying that indeed was different from normal sharks. David Steed then realized that there was something true to the matter, because he had interviewed many fishermen during his career, but none had been quite like this. Even weeks after the incident had happened with the Megalodon, the fishermen were still in shock and were assured by what they saw, and naturally so, because if we were fishermen, we wouldn't even think about going near any water body again, let alone the ocean. Number 3. The Google Maps reveal. Google Maps has made worldwide surveillance and mapping easier, but time and again, it's revealed shocking things that humans were never even meant to find. This next revelation is also one of these sightings. The image was captured somewhere in the deep oceans of the Bahamas region, which is a country in the Caribbean Ocean. Surrounded by water for miles and miles, this place is the perfect sanctuary for the Megalodon. Google Maps certainly believe so. Although the footage was quite blurry, partly because of the vast distance of the satellite image, and partly because of the blurry effect of the water, a clear silhouette of a giant shark can be seen in the water. The silhouette is very long and has 2 fins and a shark-like tail as well. The gravity of its true size can be realized from the fact that this colossal giant was caught by a satellite that was orbiting the Earth hundreds of miles away from the surface, yet its shape is highly visible. In the image, even the nearby buildings and beaches cannot be seen distinct. The only assumption that even comes close to an explanation is that of a whale shark, but a whale shark does not resemble the shape caught by the satellite. The second closest assumption of that, of a shark, but a shark of this size, impossible. So, only one explanation is left: the creature is a megalodon looming at large in the vast oceans, just as so many people have predicted. The assumption can be proved because a fully matured megalodon is believed to be 15 and 18 meters long by scientists. This is about 58.7 feet, and here we thought 6 feet men were tall. Just use that for comparison. Scientists have also revealed that the height of an average megalodon's fin is as tall as an average adult human. That's 1.6 meters or 5.3 feet in same right. After looking at this image, we don't doubt that the megalodon is still alive. A satellite image is the best piece of evidence to prove that it still exists. We don't know about you, but we won't be going to the Bahamas anytime soon. It's no wonder Google Maps caught the silhouette of this humongous sea creature. With that big a body, we won't be surprised if it were visible from the moon as well, would you? Number 2. The experiment that went wrong. A few years ago, a research group that was assembled in Australia came together to study the movement pattern of sharks. This included where they went, what they ate, how much they moved in about a day, and which places they later returned to at night. For this purpose, the crew attached a tracking device to a pretty big shark that spanned almost 9 feet. For the first few days, they tracked a lot of movement by the shark, which was quite normal, and were receiving information about its migration habits. But then suddenly one day, the shark disappeared completely from their radar. But before it disappeared, the team received information that the shark had descended approximately 2,000 feet underwater and had risen in temperature significantly. It stayed at this place for a week before finally disappearing, but wait, it gets even more interesting. After 4 months of no activity at all, the tracking device randomly washed up on a beach in southern Australia. It was not attached to anything, and the entire scene was very strange. After pondering over it for some time, the research team concluded that there was only one explanation. While the shark was down there in the deep waters, something much bigger than itself had eaten it. But what could eat a 9 foot long? A megalodon, of course. One of the reasons why megalodon is so often not spoken of at all is because they hide in really deep trenches in the water where no human can go. This would explain why all of a sudden the shark got removed from the radar even though the tracking device was still on and working. There's no way the shark itself had taken off the tracking device. No shark is that smart, let's be honest. Although this one cannot be characterized as a true sighting, perhaps it is even better than the actual sighting because it provides scientific proof that it's something massive lurking in the ocean. And this is perhaps how the Megalodon has survived this long. It has feasted on much smaller sharks to sustain itself. But one thing is clear when in Australia: keep away from the sea. You never know what might be hiding in there. Number 1. Toothy Creature. In this next incident, the Megalodon and the flesh was not sighted, but something else was found that hinted towards its existence today. Scientists found teeth that seemed to belong to the Megalodon. In search of new species, especially at the bottom of the ocean, a former small British warship was converted into an oceanographic ship known as the HMS Challenger. The ship was completed with all kinds of scientific equipment like microscopes and laboratories, used to research deep sea animals and the atmosphere. In 1875, the ship was being used to dredge the seabed in Tahiti when something spectacular happened. The researchers found a pair of Megalodon teeth, and after running a few tests on it, they found that it was over 10 to 15,000 years old. Now this is an interesting turn of affairs because the Megalodon is known to have gone extinct 23 to 3.6 million years ago. How then could these teeth have been so young, and that too of a Megalodon's? This begs another question. Do you know why Megalodons went extinct in the first place? It's said that the species had run out of prey to sustain their gigantic appetites. Because the Megalodons were so massive, they inevitably went extinct because of a lack of food. But so far as we have learned in this video, Megalodons eat other sharks in the depths of the sea. These points towards the assumption that they are still very much real and alike, but only stay at the bottom of the sea, far from the eyes of human beings. And this latest discovery of their teeth proves that they're still out there somewhere, as opposed to being extinct. The only question that remains is where, and the only problem that remains is how to film them to prove their existence. The lingering question remains: is the Megalodon alive or extinct? Regardless, it is reasonable to expect that scientists and researchers would have discovered some evidence by now. Perhaps the Megalodon is exceptionally skilled at concealment, silently prowling the world's waters, biding its time until it possesses enough strength to pose a threat to humans. Thanks for watching.